now, it's Brace for Impact, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm joined as always by JD. I'm back on Zoom. Oliva, how you doing, JD?
It's been a day, man. It's been a day. I started my new career foray into teaching. So, yeah,
Yeah,
four, six, what am I, five, six classes? This is
yeah,
wild.
JD's a working man. You've joined the rest of us, and you're
I'm
still an
like,
entrepreneur at the same time.
I know. I came home and had to edit videos, and I didn't touch my book today, and I'm all crabby because I don't know quite what I'm doing when I'm teaching. I didn't find out what I was teaching. None of them listen to this, so that's fine.
Yeah.
I didn't find out what I was teaching until last Friday, and then I had to get a hold of the old teacher's job I took. Like, hey, what did you teach these kids? And so we've been trying to figure out what to do because I'm totally not 100% prepared for this, but today went good. The first day of classes went good.
Well, that's good, man. And you'll get into a rhythm,
Yeah,
and things will start to balance out a little bit. But
yeah.
today was like your first day, right?
Today was our first day. It was a half
Yeah.
day, which was nice. And they gave us
Nice.
a bunch of BS to do, which was also nice. And tomorrow was more BS, which is fine. We won't actually get into anything until Monday. And then, like, I'm teaching graphics. So it's not like I'm teaching science or math. Like, I'm teaching kids how to use Photoshop. So
Right.
it's not an
Well,
illustrator, not a big deal.
oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had a crazy week in pro wrestling. I would say
Slightly.
the biggest news happening in the world of pro wrestling, I would say, is Eddie Edwards is the number one contender to Josh Alexander's world championship at Bound for Glory. Breaking news.
Is it April? Because it should be April with that news, but no, it's late August. So
Yeah, yeah. So we're going to for Patreon. Go to patreon.com/fightgamemedia. We're gonna get into the CM Punk stuff. I know this is a Impact podcast, and I have plenty of Impact news. I gave JD I think 3 pages of notes to look over before we did the show. And thanks to Gerard, by the way, Bear Down himself. He actually sent me some notes too. Just make sure I didn't miss any of the Impact stories. So he actually texted me some notes, and then I was able to compile them all into a Word doc. And then I got a bunch of information about the CM Punk and the drama between him and AEW. And we're an Impact podcast, but we're a pro wrestling podcast first. This is the biggest story in pro wrestling. So if you go to the Patreon, you sign up, you're gonna hear JD and I go ham for a good half an hour talking about that story.
boy, do I have a hot take on this. But yeah, I sat next to good brother Gerard at the show at Emergence last weekend, so I
Oh, you
finally got to.
did.
I did. We sat next to each other for most of the show until
And
my
you,
ass was hurting from the seats, and I had to get up and walk around before the main event
how come I didn't see pictures of this, sir? Guys are the worst, by the way.
because I'm a grown ass man. I don't take
You
selfies at a
you
show.
could
What are you
you
thinking
couldn't
of?
take a selfie and then we could put it out there on Twitter for some the Brace for Impact Nation joining together.
I, I was far too interested in taking pictures of Steve Macklin's blood on the plastic boards right in front of me. That fascinated me, and nobody cared. It's not as good as my Mance Warner blood shot from last year when he bled a bucket on the floor at AAW. But it was so unexpected because Sammy just slammed his face in there and went boom. And I went, hey, blood, and it was
Yeah.
literally right in front of me. No one
Well,
found it
the
as cool as
the
me.
picture the picture that you sent me, it looked like the blood was in someone's hair, but it just turns out it was on a board and that
It was
guy's
on a
hair was in
board.
front of it. Yeah.
And believe it or not, that didn't occur to me that
Yeah.
nobody would know that that was a board, and because clearly I saw the board in front of me and assumed everybody would just fill in the gaps. What a fun show, by the way. What a
Yeah.
fun show.
Talk about your experience, man. I want to hear this. This is your second Impact show in a year
In a
and
year,
outside of Nashville. So how was it?
yeah, I had a fun time, man. They draped off a lot of the Cicero Stadium, so it wasn't quite what MLW had there a couple years back, but we're in a different place in the world right now. Um, they had a great crowd. Like, my people in Chicago never let down for as far as the crowd goes. It took a little while because we
Hmm.
started out, it took a little while to get going. Like, our pre-show was the pre-show. And then we started with a surprisingly meh X
Hmm.
Division title match.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Jack Evans kind of sucks now.
So I talked about so if you subscribe to the Patreon, I did a one man review because I didn't want to bug JD because he actually had to drive an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back, and he had dad shit to do on Saturday. So I just did the show myself. I did it early in the morning, and you know Evans looked great
Look great.
physically. Look
He was in
better. better than I've ever seen him before. And
He's jacked. I was like, man, Jack. I looked at. I was texting our goodie John Muse because he was actually working. The man worked himself into a working spot. He was working security for the show. So
well,
kudos to good brother John Muse on that. But we were texting back and
I'd hate
forth
to
during the
use a
show.
I hate to use a wrestling phrase, but were we supposed to kayfabe that?
I don't think so. He was
Okay,
actually working
just
security.
okay,
No,
just
I mean
making
like he
sure.
was actually because God forbid you sat like 2 feet by the curtain. Like then
Mhm.
there was going to be like riots in the streets apparently if you sat too close to the curtain, I guess. So
Right.
I was texting Muse. I'm like, dude, Jack Evans has got something to prove, man. Look at him. This is the best I've seen him look in years because he was kind of fat at the end of his AW run. So I was looking forward to this. And then the bell rang.
Yeah. And so my line of the show was, you know, Jack Evans got all gassed up and then he ended up gassing out really quick. His
That's
his
what
kicks
happened.
were his kicks were slower than Luchasaurus's kicks. Like it was that bad.
And Luchasaurus tore a hamstring. So I mean, I kind of get why his hamstring's never been the same. Jack Evans he just tired. They talk about blowing up. He blew up and then blew out.
Yeah, yeah, and then he ended up doing a. He wasn't there for the tapings. He was somewhere else for the tape. He had another show booked. I could see them not bringing Evans back until he gets back into ring shape. I don't see them bringing him back anytime soon.
If you can't have a good match with Speedball Mike Bailey right now, who's on a tremendous tear,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know. I don't know what you can do, man. It was not good. And then it took a while. And then once I forget what match got us back into it. It might have been it
Bandito and
might have been
Horus.
yeah, that's what it was. I
Yeah,
I told you, man. My
it's
my
great,
Latino brethren in Cicero, they just love their luchadors. And
man.
Horus and Bandito, that was everything I wanted it to be and then some.
Yeah, and then yeah, the whole show Emergence was great. I
After
strongly
that it was
recommend.
great.
Yeah, yeah. So I said that the crowd started to get into it, and people might be
They did.
offended by this. They started to get into it really when Heath got the crowd fired up. He actually went into the crowd, had his microphone, and like they started chanting the Heath chant. I did start a rumor that you were a part of that Heath chant, and I did tell people that you did that too, which may not be true, but that's what I told people.
So here's reality. I got up to get a Coke and a Reese's peanut butter cups because that's what they were selling. And I came back to my seat and there was the camera crew and there was Heath and I'm like, oh, well, this is a thing that I didn't know was going to happen. But you're right. When we give Heath a lot of I give Heath a lot of shit, and he really did a great job of getting into the crowd and getting them riled up and getting people excited. So I mean,
Yeah.
a great use of Heath on the show, quite honestly.
Yeah. So I felt like the crowd came alive at that point, and then they stayed hot the whole night, man. And they gave even more alive during the Lucha match. So
For sure. You know what Heath was? He was like Jim Duggan.
yeah, that
You
dude,
know?
that's a great fucking comparison. I think that's the most brilliant thing you've ever said. Yeah, Heath
Thanks.
is a no. This is perfect. Like I was having trouble like trying to compare him to another wrestler, and Jim Duggan would come out. His matches were never that great, but he would do the big ho, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody would chant ho with him, and he was fun, and everybody loved seeing him. Even the wrestling snobs like Jim Duggan. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like even the guys that like, oh well, Jim Duggan doesn't always kick out on two, and he doesn't go 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So like even the wrestling snobs like Jim Duggan. I think that's a great comparison.
Yeah, he's very, very Duggan-esque, and he's actually bigger than I thought he was. I walked by Heath and I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, he's a big guy. Yeah, they did a great job. Like honestly, after that, I absolutely love this show. And I'll tell you this, that crowd wanted Mia Yim to win that title
Yes.
so badly.
Yeah.
If Mia Yim won that, the roof might have collapsed from people going crazy. Like people respected Jordan, but man, if Mia Yim had won, it would have come unglued, as the cliche goes. But it was a great show. I had an absolute blast.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad Gerard had fun. Man, I need to know his real first name, but he goes by Aomin on Twitter. He actually bought a Brace for Impact T-shirt, so thank you, my brother.
Oh,
I'm gonna shoot him a message. I'm gonna try to get him on the show here real soon because I did say that if you buy a shirt, you get to come on the show. So he is a listener of ours. He was at the show. He actually was part of the street team helping to promote this whole event the whole weekend. So he had front row seats. He was there. He was lively. He was great. So thank you. I need to find out his first name so I can address him properly. But thank you, my brother. He had a great time too. He sent me some cool videos from the event. So thank you.
My buddies from the ODPH podcast, the Ocho Duo Parlay Hour, they are merchandising machines with their pod. Perhaps we should sit under their learning tree.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that would. I think that would be great.
Yes.
To help us, subsidize some of the stuff that we do here. I think that'd be cool.
Justify the time we're putting into this. Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's talk a
But
show.
yeah. So tonight, man, I'm gonna have a hot take, a couple of hot takes. The first hot take is I think the crowd for tonight's episode was hotter than the pay per view. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's because I had my headphones on and it was loud, but it just seemed like they were hot for everything tonight. Now I know at the tapings that was not the case, so maybe there's an audio thing going on. But man, the crowd just seemed like they were on fire for just about every match tonight.
I cannot make a fair comparison because I was in the crowd the first night. I did not go back the second night. I went camping. Um, Hung out with a 6-year-old. I stand by my decision.
Yes,
I cannot. I don't trust taped crowds, right?
that's true.
And I was in that crowd Friday night. I know how hot they were. So, and then again, talking to friends that were there,
I don't know. Maybe it's a production thing, but they had the
could
guy
be.
with the, they opened up with the Lucha match, and we'll talk about BTI in a sec. But they opened up with the Lucha match. They had the guy with the drum in the crowd this time. They did not have
The
him at
dude.
Emergence.
That's the dude I was telling you about. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
the La Parca chants. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was there. He was doing the drum. They were hot for Rich Swann. Bandito, of course, was off the charts. Tons of heat on Eddie Edwards, which I thought was great. The main event, but we'll get into the show. I have another hot take when the show's over. So BTI, Giselle Shaw defeated Rosemary, and that was talking BTI. Thank you, folks. Thank you for talking BTI with us. So there you go. Opening video recap the epic battle between Josh Alexander and Alex Shelley for the Impact World Championship at Emergence. Do you think Dave watches that match, and what do you think he would give the star rating?
Dave should watch the match. I think he gives it 4.25.
Okay, I can see that. I think that's a pretty fair star rating.
I think it's a Dave. I think it's. I would give it a higher. I would be.
Yeah.
I'm not Dave. I can't. I'm not. I don't have Dave's scale. I think Dave would 4.25 to 4.5. That would be my over under for the star rating on that. I think Dave would like it a lot. Will he watch it?
I sent message to Garrett. I tagged him several times. That he if you want him to watch Impact, you got to kind of pester him and be like, why do you care what he thinks? It's not about what I think. Like if Dave watches a match and he gives it a high star rating, then other people will seek out that match. If more people watch Impact, then more people might end up listening to our show. Therein, I gained something from this. So that's why I do it. A lot of people respect his star ratings, or they get mad at his star ratings, and they use that as a barometer as to whether or not they'll actually go out of their way to watch a match. I think that if he gives it above a 4-star, people will go out of their way to watch it. So
People might not like this, but Dave is professional wrestling's great barometer, right? What he still is the trendsetter in pro wrestling. If he says a match is good, people will go out of their way to watch it. And you don't always have to agree with him, but I mean, when Dave rates a match, people talk about it, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
no one, there's no one else's opinion in professional wrestling who holds more sway than Dave Meltzer. And I think Dave would really like the match, and he probably does know about it because I know Muse and him are good friends. So I'm sure he texted him and said, "Hey, you got to watch this match." Whether he does or not, it's a different story. Because this dude, I imagine the Observer tomorrow. I imagine he's up late writing the Observer tonight because things kind of hit the fan. Oh, by the way, WWE called a lot of people, but we don't care about that because we have to talk about the locker room gas up.
Ooh, yeah.
More on BTI.
Black. First match was Black Taurus defeating Laredo Kid versus Ray Horace and Trey Miguel in a 4-way match. Crowd was on fire. Tons of great moves. A Lucha Libre match. Trey Miguel looked incredible, I thought. The whole match was great from start to finish. Black Taurus getting the victory here makes me extremely happy because it makes me think that they might actually do something with him. Maybe he gets a title shot at Victory Road against Speedball. And he was, I know that this is kind of an insider term that I'm saying, but he was a great base in this.
Yeah,
like
he's
a lot of the guys got to do all of their moves on him, and then he got the victory. I think that's a great trade-off.
For sure. I've said it before. Black Taurus is the best base in the world. Like no one is better at catching dudes flying through the sky than Black Taurus. And I swear to God, someone's listening to the show
Yeah, they
because
have
we've been.
they.
They're just going to push Taurus now. Coincidentally, after we've been railing on it for weeks. Thank
Yeah.
you, by the way. If they are, we appreciate it. Taurus is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Um, Trey is at home when he's in there with luchadors.
Yes.
At some point, they need to get him doing stuff in AAA.
I no, I think they should 100%. They absolutely should. I had an idea, and I was going to use this for a brace for debate topic, but because we're on Zoom, I can't do a brace for debate. But
Oh,
I
brace for debate. Sorry.
brace for debate. Yeah. So so I'm just trying to think of a way to get more luchadors onto the show. Do you think it would be a good idea for Impact to gain control of one of the AAA titles and bring it to Impact? So that way Bandito is the champion and he fights not only other luchadors but other American wrestlers that can do the lucha style.
Oh my God, I can't believe you're talking to me about this. I can't. I think I'm sworn to secrecy.
Oh, can you? Are you motherfucker?
I didn't know we were going to
Okay.
talk about this. I have a friend.
Okay.
There was a okay. How do I do this? Let's say I have no information. By the way, this is not. This is
Okay.
speculative. This is pure. I was discussing the idea of Impact having a luchador title, and I'm not
Really?
saying they're going to do that, but that was a topic of discussion between people.
Right.
And I don't think it's going to happen, but we had this idea and we're sharing ways in which to do it. So I hope I didn't just
I
I'm going to
mean,
cut myself out there.
yeah.
I think it would be an awesome idea, and you could bring in so many luchadors because I think Impact is a place where you could have a straight lucha match and just let it be a lucha match. Because oftentimes in Impact we don't set up matches at all; we just throw things out there. So I
Yeah.
mean, why not?
And
Why not do that? And why not give why not do something different?
yeah,
Right?
and they can set up the matches, not Lucha Underground style where they do it cinematically, but they could set up the matches in backstage segments and skits, really short ones, using subtitles. And like, why can't we have the mask versus match in the states between Bandito and Flamita that they want to have, right? That they've been talking about for a Lucha title, whether it be the Impact Americas title or the AAA Mega Championship or the Cruiserweight one.
Lucha X.
Lucha, there you go, the Lucha X title.
That's not
I
mine.
dig that one.
I didn't create that. But I mean, like, I'm just gonna. It was yeah. Like I said, you're catching a zeitgeist that I think a lot of people are taught. That I think there's a lot more interest in this than just you proposing this on a podcast. I think there's a wave of interest in something to that effect. I think that'd be really really cool, and just letting something true lucha exist. We never really had true lucha in this
Hmm.
country, right? Just let something be real lucha and get whatever's going on with Vikingo's visa, figure that stuff out. Because that dude
Yeah.
and Commander, those dudes are unreal.
Yeah, and they can even kind of like what Pac is doing, where he has the All Atlantic title, and he's in the UK right now defending it there. Whenever their lucha champion is in Mexico, they could put it. Are you texting the guys that you had? And it's like maybe we should let Gilbert in on this deal because he might know some shit or might have good ideas.
No, I'm just gonna tell my homie to listen to the show this week.
Yes, please listen to the show, friend. And that you and I did not coordinate this
We
conversation
did
ahead of
not
time.
coordinate this at all.
I did post something in the chat earlier this week, but you're probably bogged down with work. You didn't even catch up on it. But
You think I'm keeping up with the chat this week?
no, there's too much going on.
I got
Uh,
50 emails a day coming in. People asking, "Do you want to share?" No, I don't want to share. I'm good.
Backstage, Zicky Dice, Johnny Swinger, and others were excited watching Killer Kelly's debut match from last week. So was
Well,
I.
well,
Yeah. Tasha Steeles and Savannah Evans interrupted and questioned why they were paying attention to her. Or why Killer Kelly then entered the scene, and when Evans stepped up to her, Kelly told her that they could finish in the ring tonight. So there you go. I thought that Zicky Dice particularly was really funny in this segment. And then they go to commercial and come back, and Josh Alexander was with Rich Swann. Alexander stated that while he couldn't play favorites in the main event tonight, he would love to defend the title against Swann. I'm pretty much sick of two friends just wanting to wrestle each other for fun. I don't like it. But Vincent interrupted and informed Alexander that it was going to be Eddie Edwards picking up the victory tonight and that he needed to look around and realize he needed some friends. So Vincent enters here and kind of foreshadows what's going to happen in the main event.
So yeah, is it me or does Vincent care way more about Ring of Honor and the Righteous than he does Honor No More? Like if you go onto his
I,
Twitter, he never talks about it, but he's
yeah.
always doing something for the Righteous.
He must not be making very much money in Impact, and he heard what people are getting signed for in Ring of Honor, and he wants that.
Well, he's posted
And I
that
don't blame
picture
him.
of them. He posted that
Yeah,
picture of them, which is
yeah,
like AW has that same exact background. So I think he kind of just wants to go back to Ring of Honor where he had his own like Wyatt-esque thing going on,
yeah.
you
I
know?
mean, if Khan doesn't bring him into Ring of Honor, which I'm at the point now where Khan has so many guys under contract that they don't need to bring in more people. They could just
Nope.
siphon some of the people they already have into Ring of Honor. But if they want to keep bringing more guys in, which is probably going to cause more problems for him, which we'll get into later. But if they don't end up bringing the Righteous in, I think Impact should go for it and bring those guys in, especially because I think they got some cap room coming up with their salary. So,
Well, here's the
um,
thing too, is like we talked about with Impact, is you don't have to sign people. You can just bring people in,
yeah,
right? You can just, I don't think those tier zeros that AEW gives people really are much of anything, just as a right of like, hey, we want when we have a show, we want to make sure you're there.
yeah.
Here's a hundred
Next week,
bucks.
next we go to Heath defeated Kenny King with Vincent at ringside. A brawl ensued after the bell rang, and Heath almost landed the wake-up call seconds into the match. They had a good back-and-forth match. People were saying that people told me that King carried the match, but I don't know. I think that Heath is just so
What?
over. Yeah, I think that Heath is just so over. I think Heath being over kind of carried the match, even though Heath didn't do much. He just kind of throws punches and kicks, and but I thought it was a good match, and he hit the wake-up call for the victory.
Okay, so dudes that throw punches and kicks are some like Terry Funk just threw punches and
Yes,
kicks.
yeah,
Steve Austin, post neck injury, just threw punches and kicks. Kenny King has never been accused of carrying anyone to a good match in his life. And I like Kenny King, but he's not. We're not talking about Ric Flair here as far as like carrying people. Like I don't. I think him and Heath are kind of on that same scale as far as like talent goes. So I think Heath's just over, and
yeah,
people just like Heath. That's the
yeah.
thing about pro wrestling. I think we overcomplicate it sometimes with
Mm-hmm.
moves and stuff like that. When all you need to do is have some charisma, and if people care about the most important thing to do is make people hacksaw Jim Duggan. Most important thing you
Mm-hmm.
got is make people care.
Yeah, Heath barely does anything, but people get on their feet when he comes out. They have a good time. They love him. Kids love him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's. I don't want to say he's great, but man, I'm starting to this storyline that they have him in. They've given him something to do, and
It's
the push
working
up.
for him.
It's made me interested in the guy. So
Well, he's one of the few guys that has this. It's again, the show was good this week, but we still don't have a lot of like storytelling going on.
I
You
think we're
know,
starting to enter into that, though. I think
I
there was a
hope
lull,
so.
and I tonight's episode gave me hope
It
that
was
we're getting there.
I feel like we could be going to some places, but still, the only guy with a clear cut, this guy going on is Heath. He's the only
Yeah,
guy who actually has like a legitimate story in the entire promotion.
yeah. After the match, Honor No More hit the ring and laid out Heath. After Eddie Edwards directed PCO to attack Heath, PCO hesitated, which allowed Heath to land the wake-up call on Mike Bennett before escaping the ring. A disgruntled Edwards looked at PCO from the rampway as Maria Kanellis tended to Bennett. So there's part of the storytelling is there the PCO slow turn, and we just took another step in that direction. This is slower than the Wardlow turn, where it took 2 years for Wardlow.
Slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is yeah.
Backstage, the Motor City Machine Guns were with Kushida. MCMG and Kushida stated that after not having the greatest time in Emergence, they were coming together for all three members of Violent by Design. Then they have a match next week. So we get the Time Machines. It's the Machine Guns and the Time Splitters.
Time Machine Gun was right there.
Yeah. Why I don't know why they didn't go with Time Machine Gun.
Time Machine Gun. That's like
Yeah.
way cooler than Time Machine.
Yeah. Or the Body Splitters. I don't know why I just thought of that.
Why did you think of that? Where did it come from? That's like a David
'Cause with the-
Cronenberg movie.
Because with the machine gun, you split the body. Okay.
Oh, fair. Okay.
I hope everybody liked my sound effects.
Brace for sound effects.
There you go. Well, I wish I had my. We're on Zoom again this week, folks.
So no
I
sound
wish
effects.
no sound effects, which means we're probably going to get kicked off soon because Zoom sucks. All right, Honor No More was backstage venting about what just happened in the ring. Taven Bennett and Kanellis then took off to find Scott D'Amore. And when they found him, they demanded to know where their World Tag Team title shot was. D'Amore stated that Doc Gallows is down and out, and Maria took exception after they suggested a handicap match against Carl Anderson for the titles. D'Amore stated that Bennett would face Anderson next week in singles action, and if Anderson won, Maria would be banned from ringside when the title match takes place. They haven't announced it on the show, but on their Twitter, they announced that title match is actually happening in Dallas, Texas next week, which would then air 2 weeks from today. So
synergy.
Yeah, they got to get the information. They got to get the information out on Twitter so that way they can promote some matches for that event so they can sell some tickets. But they want the storylines to play out on TV, so they're just not, together.
Hey, man, it's not just them. WWE spoiled the whole tournament.
That Tyler Bate was the champion before he actually won the title. So,
Not that it matters. They fired the whole company.
Yes, which I have the whole list, by the way. We'll get into that on Patreon. Killer Kelly. Killer Kelly. Defeated Savannah Evans. Evans had a pure power advantage in the match. So at one point, Savannah Evans was choking Killer Kelly, and then Kelly grabbed Evans' other hand and then made her choke her some more. And then Killer won. So there you go.
Yeah, remember the thing I talked about with Madison Rain and the mask? Killer Kelly and the mouth guard. It's something. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, I'm not gonna touch.
Got a Journey. I know I said it last week, but she got a Journey album on the back on her back. Kind of cool.
Which album?
I don't know. It's the Journey. The greatest.
It's like the Journey logo. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like the Journey logo. I don't think it's actually the Journey logo, but it looks exactly like the Journey logo on her back.
Oh, okay. Well, don't stop believing in that. All right. After backstage, former Knockouts World Tag Team Champions Rosemary, Taya Valkyrie, and Jessica talked about losing the titles. Rosemary stated that they were going to refocus and regroup and get back to the championships. Jessica stated that she had her debut match coming up next week, and Rosemary told Valkyrie to keep an eye on her from this point forward. And then at one point, Taya and Jessica just started screaming and jumping around and bouncing around. I have a confession, JD, and you're not going to be proud of me, and you shouldn't be proud of me. You're actually going to be ashamed of me. I like this new Jessica Havoc character. Come back, JD. What? I think JD hung up on me. He left the show. Oh no, he's back. All right, Leah. Look, we're running out of time. We got 10 minutes to finish the review, but there you go. Of
course we do.
Yeah,
that's good because I don't want to say what's on my mind right now, so we'll just move along.
Yeah. I like it. I can't help it.
You can't control what you like.
Miller was with Knockouts World Champion Jordan Grace, and Miller stated that Masha was on the hunt for her before much could be said. The new Knockouts VXT appeared anyway. Chelsea Green and Deanna Purrazzo insulted Grace. Then they challenged her to a fight. Mia Yim then entered, and now we got a tag match coming up for the tag team titles next week. So I
forgot to tell you, someone I forget who said it when I was in the crowd at Emergence, and Jordan opened up the envelope and she had the picture in there. Someone goes, "Is that Gresham's PWI 500 page?" And I thought I was gonna laugh myself to death. I could not. I thought that was so funny in the moment. It would have been great if it was.
Did you like how AEW introduced Kenny Omega as former #1 on the PWI 500?
We're a pro petty show.
oh yes, I'm all about the pettiness.
We're all about pettiness.
I'm all about badass wrestling matches too, because Mike Bailey and Chris Bey.
God, this was
an incredible match, man. Bey was in the doghouse for months. He must be out of the doghouse because him and Bailey fucking went at it, dude. This was a great match. I loved this match. I'm not even gonna do the play-by-play. I just want to tell everybody it was great. Go watch the match. It was incredible.
In a week full of good wrestling matches, I really liked this match. Really did. I don't know who Chris Bey pissed off over the summer, but I hope it's over because he's too good not to be utilizing to his fullest. Hot take, I like Chris Bey better than Speedball.
You like Bey better than Speedball?
I do like Bey better.
Okay, I got to disagree there. I think Speedball is one of the best in the world right now.
Bey has personality.
He does.
Speedball has no personality.
It's kind of part of his character. He's just like
I'm aware.
The boy next door type of guy, but he's like 35.
Yeah, with a bad haircut. And I don't know, like Speedball has good matches with everybody that's not named Jack Evans. But like, what is he?
Yeah.
I like Chris Bey. I know what Chris Bey is.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Hey, where's Ace?
You know what? Yeah, he wasn't there. Was he not an emergency either? No, he
I
didn't have a
don't
match.
remember. I don't think so.
I don't know. I know he's not fired. I don't know. Maybe he just wasn't in Chicago. Maybe something happened.
Huh.
Maybe he's hurt.
Hope,
I don't know.
hope he's okay.
Yeah, but great match. Everybody got out of your way to see it. And then we go to the main event. We got Eddie Edwards defeated Steve Macklin, Moose, Callahan, Bandito, and Rich Swann in a six-way elimination number one contenders match. I thought this main event was fantastic. I love these types of matches. It was awesome. Bandito was over like crazy. Eddie Edwards had a ton of heat, more heat than I expected him to have because people kind of a lot of people don't watch Impact regularly, so they still remember Eddie as being a babyface. But this crowd was into it, man. They were into everything that everybody did in this match, and I absolutely loved it. At one point, Moose, he ended up pinning Sammy Callahan, and then Macklin got the roll up on Moose and got the pin on him, which was crazy. And then Sammy Callahan attacked Macklin, which caused Bandito to go back and forth with Steve Macklin. And Bandito hit is it called the Flex 21? Is that what a suplex is?
I believe so, yes.
The Flex 21 hit the Flex 21 on Steve Macklin, got the victory. That makes me think that they're going to try to keep Bandito around for a while. So that gives me hope that we're going to get to see more of this guy because he was off the charts in this match. And then Eddie Edwards hit the Boston E Party on Bandito after that, pinned him. And then Rich Swann and Eddie Edwards proceeded to have another 10-minute match, just those two guys. Rich Swann is one of the best baby faces in pro wrestling. Whenever they allow him to be, he's like a Ricky Morton to me. He's just fantastic. Eddie Edwards just had a ton of heat on him. The crowd was behind Swann. Eddie Edwards ended up getting he hit the Die Hard driver for the victory there. But a great match, and we're finally going to get the Eddie Edwards Josh Alexander match that we've been getting teased with since like March.
I don't know how I feel about a 4 and a 6-way on the same show, but I like both matches.
I think they were originally meant to be on separate shows because the four-way. So I talked to Muse today, and he goes, dude, the four-way was supposed to be next week. They actually taped it later in the evening, but for some reason they moved it to this week. I was like, I wonder what happened. I was like, it beats the hell out of me. They tape out a sequence all the time anyway, so it could have been scheduled, but they barely announced this match. I think earlier today or the day before. So I don't know, but yeah, they put it on, but. I dug it. I thought this was one of the best episodes of the year. Just nonstop action, great matches. They're progressing some storytelling, and then we finally got the direction that we've been thinking we're going to for Bound for Glory all year with Eddie Edwards and Josh Alexander. But I had a lot of fun watching.
I don't know if I think it was the best episodes of the year. I can't think of one better off the top of my head, but I didn't feel that after the show's over. I thought it was pretty good though. I thought it was definitely better than the last couple weeks.
Oh yeah, well it might be a little recency bias, but I just had a lot of fun watching the show, and I thought,
good show.
They had 3 matches that were just off the charts, with the Lucha match, the Speedball match, and then of course the main event. I thought was great, and the main event wasn't your typical they did all the kickouts and stuff with Swann and Eddie, but it had so much heat. And the crowd was just on fire.
Chicago.
I loved it. Yeah.
That's what we do. Yeah, it was a good show. John Muse was the guy who came up with the idea of the Lucha title. He just texted me and said I can set it, and I didn't know if he wanted me to give that away. But that was his idea when we were sitting. He goes, they should have a Lucha title. So, and I agree with him. I think they should have a Lucha title, and clearly so do you, because you said that, and I was not a great brace for debate topic because I agree with you. They should do that.
Yeah, no, they absolutely should. Well, so some folks were in the chat were poo-pooing the idea of creating a new, Impact creating a new title, but they all thought that bringing over a AAA title and having a AAA title defended on the show regularly was a pretty good idea.
I'm gonna let you guys in a secret about AAA titles. They don't matter. AAA does not care about their titles. That's why they're almost always on foreigners.
Yeah,
because titles don't really draw in Mexico. They're just things they're extra little bells and whistles you can put on a match.
They care about masks and hair for some reason. That's their big prizes.
Cultural stuff. People get all offended about who wins titles and who loses titles in Mexico. Who's number one guy in AAA?
Psycho Clown.
Never been the mega champion.
Nope, not once.
So, titles mean a lot more in America. I do think we're way diluted on titles across the sphere of professional wrestling. Yeah. That being said, if you can do something, and what I like about the All Atlantic title is it's an AEW title that goes across the planet. It turned out to be that's a pretty good idea. I would love the Lucha title that could do the same thing. That could be defended in AAA and in Impact and across the Indies. And you just have these because that's an excuse just to have a banger match. It's like the equivalent of Stardom's high speed title, right? We just have a 5-minute match. It goes super fast and it's nuts. So yeah, that's let's hashtag that Lucha X.
Lucha X. I dig it. Well, hey guys, if you're listening to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and if you're watching on YouTube, that's going to be it for the recap portion of Brace for Impact. We're going to head over to Patreon where we're going to talk some Impact news. We're going to talk some TV deals. We got a new TV deal and the rumored TV deal that I don't think anybody knows about just yet. So maybe a little bit of a scoop there. I don't know. We'll see. Also, NXT UK has been gutted, and some of those folks used to wrestle on Impact, so we'll talk about those folks. And then JD and I are going to go in on the CM Punk topic because we're both big fans of his, and this is kind of the biggest story in wrestling right now. So let's go and talk about it. JD, we got a minute and 45 seconds. Plug your Kickstarter, sir.
It's over.
Oh, so don't worry about it then. Never mind.
It's all good.
It's all good. All right, guys, go to patreon.com/fightgamemedia and join the conversation over there. We'll talk to you again later. Bye.